Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into Iman Gadzhi's advice on how to make $10,000 a month as a student.
Sounds ambitious.
Oh, it is. But Gadzhi's got some pretty interesting strategies. This video, it's called Do This to Make $10,000 as a Student, and it's packed with insights.
I'm all ears.
So maybe you're listening because you want to achieve that same level of financial freedom, or maybe you're just fascinated by the whole online business world.
Either way, I think we're in for a treat. Gadzhi's advice, it always seems to cut through the noise.
Yeah, totally agree. And one thing that really struck me right off the bat was his emphasis on mindset. He doesn't just jump into specific business ideas.
Right. He really stresses the importance of having the right foundation, the right principles, before you even start thinking about making money.
Exactly. He talks about finding the right vehicle for your business, which I thought was such a great analogy.
It is. It's like he's saying, don't just hop on any random money-making train. Find a vehicle that's going to take you where you want to go.
And for students, that vehicle needs to be something that fits into their lives, something that's got the potential to scale, but isn't super high risk.
Yeah. He's really against trading, for example.
He pretty much slams the door on that one.
He does. He points out that it's way too risky, especially if you're starting with a small amount of money.
He argues that investing that same money in building a lean online business is a much smarter move, and it's less likely to wipe you out financially.
And he's got a point. The whole risk versus reward thing, it's crucial in any business, but especially when you're a student and you probably don't have a ton of cash to throw around.
Which is what made his example about his eyewear company so interesting. It brings in over $1 million a year.
Seriously.
Yeah, but he actually considers it his smallest venture. Isn't that wild?
It is. Why is that?
Well, he explains this whole concept of free cash flow versus tied up wealth. So with the eyewear company, a lot of the money gets reinvested back into the business.
So even though it's bringing in a ton of revenue, he doesn't actually have access to all of it.
Right. It's kind of like having $1 million house, but not being able to sell it because you need a place to live.
Okay, I get it. So it's not just about how much money a business makes. It's about how much of that money you can actually use.
Exactly. And that's a really important distinction for anyone thinking about starting a business, especially as a student.
Absolutely. It's all about understanding the difference between revenue and actual profitability. That's a lesson I wish I had learned earlier.
So let's get back to this vehicle idea. What qualities should students be looking for when choosing a business model? What makes a good vehicle in Gadzhi's world?
He highlights two key things: high perceived value and high leverage.
Can you break that down for us? What does that actually look like in practice, especially for someone who's still in school?
Sure. So imagine you're a student who's like a coding whiz.
Okay, I can picture that.
You could offer your services to local businesses that need help building simple websites.
Right.
Your expertise in coding, it has high perceived value because those businesses are willing to pay you a decent amount to solve their problem. They may not be able to do it themselves, or it might take them forever to figure it out.
So high perceived value means that people are willing to pay a good price for what you offer because they see the value in it.
Exactly.
Got it. So what about high leverage? How does that fit in?
Let's say instead of just building websites one by one, you create an online course that teaches others how to do it.
Okay, I'm following you.
Now you're leveraging your knowledge and reaching a much wider audience. You're not limited by how many websites you can build yourself.
So you're scaling up your impact and your potential income.
Precisely. And that's the power of leverage. You're multiplying your efforts and your results.
So to put it simply, high perceived value is about having a skill or service that people are willing to pay for. And high leverage is about finding ways to reach more people with that skill or service.
You got it. And that's one of the most valuable takeaways from Gadzhi's advice. He's encouraging us to think about our own strengths and how we can turn those strengths into a business.
And how we can scale those strengths to reach a larger audience.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing about Gadzhi. He's not going to sugarcoat things when it comes to timelines and expectations.
He's definitely not the get-rich-quick type of guru.
No way.
Yeah.
He's very vocal about the dangers of that whole mentality, especially in the age of social media where everyone's flaunting their supposed overnight success.
It's so easy to get caught up in that and feel like you're failing if you're not making millions by the time you're 20.
It's toxic.
Yeah.
And Gadzhi's not afraid to call it out. He even shares his own story. He was making a few $1,000s a month at 14. Which is incredible.
That's crazy.
Right. But it still took him 3 years to consistently hit that $10,000 a month mark.
So even for someone like Gadsby, who clearly had a knack for business from a young age, it wasn't an overnight thing.
Not at all. And I think that's a really important message for anyone just starting out. Building a business takes time, effort, and a lot of learning along the way.
It goes back to that vehicle analogy. Even if you find the perfect car, you still need to learn how to drive it before you can hit the gas and speed off.
Exactly. It's a process, a journey, and it's not always going to be easy. There will be bumps in the road.
And speaking of bumps in the road, Godsey actually says that hitting $10,000 a month is the easy part.
Wait, what?
I know, right? It sounds crazy. But he argues that the real challenge is staying there, maintaining that level of success over the long term.
And why is that?
Well, he explains that the business world is constantly changing. You've got competition, shifts in the market, and you've got to constantly adapt and come up with new ideas to stay ahead of the game.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. You've got to be constantly on your toes.
Exactly. And that's where his advice on developing a marathon mindset comes in.
I love that term.
Me too. It perfectly captures the idea that building a successful business is a long game. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you've got to be prepared for the long haul.
You need stamina, resilience, and a willingness to keep learning and growing.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready to dive deeper.
Me too. We'll uncover some of Gadsby's most powerful strategies for navigating the challenges of the business world and maintaining that success over the long term. So you're saying it's not enough to just hit that $10,000 a month target. You've got to have a plan for what comes next.
Yeah, it's about building something sustainable, something that can withstand the inevitable ups and downs of the business world.
Which is why Gadsby emphasizes setting a financial baseline. Right?
Exactly. It's like creating a safety net for yourself.
Mhm.
It's not about setting some crazy high-income goal. It's about establishing a minimum level that you absolutely refuse to drop below.
So even when things get tough, you've got that cushion, that sense of security.
Right. And it should be a baseline that covers not just your basic expenses, but also allows for some savings and reinvestment in your business.
Smart. So you're always moving forward, even when things are a bit shaky.
Exactly. And Gadsby, he's big on continuous learning, too. He stresses that, you can't just rest on your laurels. You've got to stay ahead of the curve, always be upgrading your skills, adapting to new trends.
Makes sense. The business world's not exactly known for standing still.
Nope. And that might mean taking online courses, going to industry events, even just reading books and articles, whatever it takes to stay sharp.
So it's all about that marathon mindset we talked about, right? Stamina, resilience, a willingness to keep pushing yourself.
Absolutely. But here's a question that's been rattling in my brain. What about luck? I mean, Gadsby himself admits that timing and luck played a role in his success.
Yeah, that part kind of threw me at first. If it all boils down to luck, what's the point of all this hard work?
Right. But I think he's getting at something a bit deeper. It's not about just sitting back and hoping for the best. It's about creating opportunities for yourself.
So the more you put yourself out there, the more you hustle, the more likely you are to stumble upon that lucky break.
Exactly. The more you invest in your skills, the wider you cast your net, the more likely you are to be in the right place at the right time. It's like they say, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
I love that saying. So let's get practical here. What are some tangible things our listeners can do to kind of boost their luck factor?
Well, first, they need to be honest with themselves about the skills they need to develop. Are there online courses, workshops they could take?
Or maybe finding mentors, people who've already blazed the trail they want to follow?
Yeah, mentorship can be huge. And staying informed about industry trends, subscribing to blogs, podcasts, newsletters, following thought leaders on social media.
Soaking it all up, basically. Being a sponge.
Exactly. Constantly seeking out new information and perspectives. Because the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to recognize and seize those opportunities when they pop up.
Makes sense. But along with all this hard work and preparation, there's also the mental side of things, right? The mindset.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
Building a business, it's rarely a smooth sailing, straight line to success.
There are going to be storms, right?
Absolutely. Setbacks, challenges, moments where you might feel like packing it all in. And that's where resilience comes in.
That grit, that determination to keep going even when it's tough.
Exactly. And curiosity, too. You need that hunger to keep learning, experimenting, adapting.
Because like we said, the business world never stops evolving.
Right. So you've got to stay curious, keep asking questions, keep pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
So we've got resilience, curiosity, Anything else we should add to this entrepreneur's mindset toolkit?
You know what Gadsby kind of subtly hints at? Humility.
Humility.
Yeah. It's realizing you don't have all the answers. Being open to learning from others.
Seeking out mentors, like we said before.
Exactly. Because everyone you meet, they know something you don't. And those insights, those different perspectives, they can be invaluable, especially when you're first starting out.
Okay, so resilience, curiosity, humility, that's a pretty powerful trio.
It is. But it's just the starting point. The real magic happens when you take action, when you put these principles into practice.
And when you start building a business that reflects your vision, your values.
Exactly. And that brings us to another interesting piece of advice from Gadsby. He talks about learning from old money principles.
Old money, like what, stashing your cash under a mattress?
Not quite. He's talking about a mindset, a way of approaching wealth that focuses on long-term preservation, sustainable growth.
So not the flashy new money mentality that we see so much of these days.
Exactly. It's about being financially prudent, living below your means, investing wisely, avoiding unnecessary debt.
So it's about building a solid financial foundation that can weather any storm.
Exactly. It's about creating a life of freedom and abundance, but on your own terms, without being weighed down by financial worries.
And that's incredibly empowering, right? To have that sense of control over your financial destiny.
Absolutely. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, isn't it? Taking that leap of faith, pursuing your passions, and creating a life that's both financially rewarding and personally fulfilling.
It's about more than just making money. It's about building a life that you truly love.
Yeah, and that's a journey worth taking. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. But how do we turn all this inspiration into action? What's the next step?
I think it starts with really letting these principles sink in. Letting them guide your decisions as you start to build your business.
So it's not about just listening to this deep dive and then going back to business as usual?
No, it's about letting these insights shape your mindset, your actions. It's about taking ownership of your journey.
And making choices that align with your vision for success, not just financial success, but also personal fulfillment.
Exactly. And remember, even though this deep dive is coming to an end, your journey's just beginning.
It's time to take that leap, put these principles to work, and see where your entrepreneurial spirit takes you.
And who knows? Maybe one day you'll be the one sharing your insights, inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Wow, I mean, really, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From finding that perfect business vehicle to setting those financial baselines, even tapping into that wisdom of old money, right?
It's been a whirlwind. And, what really sticks with me is that building a business, it's not just about following some rigid set of rules.
It's more about adopting the right mindset.
Yeah, exactly. That way of thinking, embracing resilience, curiosity, that commitment to lifelong learning, it's huge.
Oh, and humility too, remembering that you don't have all the answers, being willing to learn from others, especially those who are, a few steps ahead on the path.
Mentorship is so powerful, isn't it? It can give you guidance, support, accountability, especially when things get bumpy.
So to everyone listening out there, if you're feeling that little spark of entrepreneurship inside you, well, this deep dive, it's just the beginning.
It's your job to fan those flames, to turn that inspiration into action.
And you don't need to have all the answers right this second.
Nope. Take it step by step. Experiment. Learn from those inevitable missteps and never stop pushing yourself to grow.
Experiment, learn, grow. That's really the heart of it, isn't it? Embracing the unknown, taking those smart risks, and always trying to be better.
And that's what makes it so rewarding. Not just the financial side, although, hey, that's always nice.
Of course.
But the personal growth, those challenges you overcome, building something from scratch, there's nothing like it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought, one question that Gadsby himself asks in his video. It's a question worth, really sitting with.
Ooh, I like this.
He asks, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Whoa. No, that's powerful.
Right? It cuts through all the fear, all the self-doubt, all those limiting beliefs that we all carry around. It pushes you to think big, to dream without those mental barriers.
So ask yourself, what am I truly capable of achieving?
Exactly. So we encourage you to hold on to that question, let it sink in, see what possibilities start to bubble up.
And remember, wherever your entrepreneurial journey takes you, we're rooting for you every step of the way.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of Iman Gadsby. We hope you surfaced with a ton of insights, inspiration, and maybe even a few light bulb moments along the way.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep chasing those dreams, and never, ever stop believing in your own potential.